Some of us have sacrificed traditional Christmas gatherings in hopes of minimizing the spread, and several may not have any at all. As a matter of fact, medical experts are warning the community this Christmas is different whether traditions stand or not, because right now, many people are in the hospitals fighting for their lives battling COVID-19. Our Ashley Gonzalez has this report.
Christmas Day, where families gather, unwrap gifts together, and feast. At least, on any other year, that was a popular tradition. But on Christmas Day, year 2020, this is the reality.
More than 150,000 people are admitted in the hospital in the country with COVID.
Pulmonologist Dr. Salim Surani has worked 22 Christmases in a hospital. He says then, holidays would still feel like holidays, even where there are countless patients trying to heal.
Family members pouring with the love and affection coming in from in town and out town, and they're visiting their seniors, elderly family member who are in the hospital, holding their hand, giving them hope, giving them motivations.
Hand-holding and socializing with sick family members in a hospital have not been allowed for months now because of COVID-19. He says in 1 year, a lot can change, even for the most wonderful time of the year.
They're all alone. Christmas means happiness. Christmas means people and family have to be together, but because of the safety of the patient and the folks, they cannot visit.
Dr. Surani says there are ways to love from afar. And yes, isolation during the holidays is usually not a good feeling, but it's an even worse feeling from a hospital bed.
Dial by the Zoom, dial by the Skype, connect with their phone. They do have a phone. If they can talk, they can do that.
Dr. Surani says it can be worth sacrificing company for one Christmas, because it's not only to protect yourself, but the ones you can't stand losing. Asha Gonzalez, 3 News.
A message that continues the pandemic is making this year's Christmas different, and for many, very difficult. Throughout the year, several people have faced mental challenges with being isolated and stuck inside the four walls of their home. Now, during the holiday, that feeling is even greater. More people are spending the day alone. Counselors say it can make people more sad seeing others spreading the joyful message.
Many of us are still social distancing during this time frame, and maybe it's not easy to get out and to hold a gathering or have some sort of activity where people can come in. And so picking up the phone is one way, setting up virtual platforms where others can join in on the holiday.
Local counselor Janelle Powell says this year presented more grief and loss for people all around the community, so some people are experiencing a lonely Christmas for the very first time.